Hey guys, it's Unfrequented World, and today we're going to do another review. We are going to review the Rokinon 85mm f1.4 lens. This is a fantastic lens that is, in my case, for A-mount. And for A-mount users, it's a very special lens. We don't have any options in terms of cheap options for 85 f1.4 lenses. We can buy the old Minolta lenses that had autofocus for about $700, and then you're stuck with a 30-some-year-old lens. You can buy the new Sony versions for about $1,500, and then you're out of pocket a lot of money. If you look at M42 versions or Tamron Adaptol, there really are no options there, except for $350 30-year-old lenses as well. So this Rokinon lens, for a brand new lens, I paid $300, just under $300 Canadian. That's shipping and tax included. Specs of this lens, it goes from aperture of f1.4 to f122. It weighs 19.5 ounces, so 540 grams, something like that. On the full frame body, the A99, it feels very well balanced. It does tilt the camera forward. If you put the camera on a flat surface, it will just ever so slightly lean forward, but you don't feel it when you're actually holding the camera. 8 aperture blades, rounded blades. The newest nanotech coatings that you can get on a lens. And it shows, I will show you guys a bunch of samples. This lens, in terms of CA and ghosting and flare and all that, is excellent. You can't beat it. We just did a review last week on the Sony 35 f1.4. That's a $1,400 lens. I'm going to show you guys a couple of test samples with this thing that I took. The same scenario as last week. There is no CA on this, and the sharpness, I would say, is probably twice as good as that of the Sony lens, which is not renowned for its sharpness, but this lens, short of not having autofocus, for $300 some, guys, it's a no-brainer. Let's look at some sample shots. So all of these pictures are straight out of the camera. There's nothing been done to them. So you can see here the color is fantastic on this lens. f1.4, probably from 10 feet away, something like that. And I focused on the bookmark because I know it has a nice texture on it. And look at how nice and sharp that is. That's 200% zoom right there. We are extreme pixel peeping there. We look at the text. We do see a slight amount of CA on the text here on the National Geographic magazine. Very easy to fix that in post. But overall, it's very well controlled. And the colors are fantastic on this lens. And this is the sample image that I was talking about we took with the same 35 Sony version lens last week, and I want to show you guys. This is shot at f1.4, and look down here, there is no CA to be seen anywhere. It's fantastic. And if we look at the sharpness here, outstanding as well. And if we look at the bokeh, the nice washed out background here, that's a shed, and I'll show you guys at f8. So there's the difference between f1.4 and f8. And if we look in here now, everything is even twice as sharp. A little bit of movement blur here on the bird, but everything that wasn't moving is extremely sharp. Even right down into the corners. You can see this set of needles right here in the corner. That's not too bad at 150%. On an APS-C camera, this 85 will become a 127.5mm equivalent. So still a pretty good range, just under a 135 standard. So you might find some good use for that on an APS-C camera as well. Okay, and so in this image here, this is another one that we shot last week in the last review as well. f1.4, because that's where we're going to be using this lens most of the time. We come in here to 200%, and it's very sharp. But again, very, very thin depth of field at f1.4. There's only an inch between these ceramic dolls here. And this series here, my wife would kill me if she knew I put these in the video, but just watching TV, extreme low light,
Just one little lamp on in the room at night. And if we check sharpness again, this is ISO 800, so not the cleanest images that we could get, but very sharp. Nice and sharp. And the background bokeh is nice and washed out. This lens, I find the color is a little bit more blue, a little bit cooler than my Minolta lenses, but I can fix that with a NIC filter, about 15 to 20% of warmth added, and it looks the same as my Minolta lenses. Not that the blue is a bad thing, it's just a different coating. And f1.4 from across the room. Normally you wouldn't do this because we're not trying to get a depth of field, but I just wanted to show the sharpness from about 12 to 14 feet away here. There's 100%. Again, ISO 800. It was very dark in the room, so, but you can see nice and sharp. And the last two here are a couple of portraits of my daughters, and we zoom right in on her eye. 200%. Again, f1.4, 800 ISO. Very nice. And the background's washed right out. This one as well. Makes for an excellent portrait lens, the 85mm. There's 100%. Not the best lighting conditions, but just something that you would probably shoot in real life scenario.
So for me, guys, the Rokinon 85 f1.4 is an excellent choice in terms of money versus what you're getting for the lens. If you want autofocus, this is obviously not the way to go, but you're going to pay, you know, $1,500 for a new lens or $700 for a used lens that will autofocus, or you can buy something like this and manually focus. This lens is outstanding. It doesn't have the rendering quality of the Sony 35, but it's much sharper and less CA and sharper right across the whole frame. So for me, this lens is an excellent travel companion for low light situations and portraiture, and that's why I bought one. And I can't recommend it enough, guys. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next week when we cover something else worth covering.